Hey friends, this is Mark Hallock, and I want to personally invite you to our biggest event of the year, the 2026 Replant Summit, August 25th and 26th in Alpharetta, Georgia. Now, this year's theme is Every Church Matters, Mobilized, Multiplied, because we believe God is not finished with struggling churches. You'll be encouraged through practical sessions on discipleship, community engagement, church renewal, multiplication, and more. Plus, you'll connect with pastors and leaders who understand both the challenges and the joys of the work of church renewal. Now, space is filling up quickly, so reserve your spot today. We would love to see you at the Replant Summit. Register at churchreplanters.com.
Welcome to Revitalize and Replant with Mark Clifton and Mark Hallock, where we equip pastors to take their churches from declining to thriving by pointing them to a new future and a new hope. Join us weekly for encouragement and practical advice in your pastoring journey.
So we take a little break. We've been talking about deacons.
Yeah.
We take a little break, and you guys leave.
Yeah, we do. We don't tell you where we're going.
Don't tell me where they're going. You know, and I'm wandering around just, all over the countryside looking for you.
I had to go to a pawn shop.
Another watch
I
shop.
did.
Yeah, he had to do something with watches.
I had some watches. I sold 5 watches today. So I could buy one.
This is a side hustle.
It's Revitalize and Replant with Mark Clifton.
Alex said, "You're going to buy another watch now that you sold those 5?" I said, "I already bought the watch. That's why I have to sell these 5."
There's Mark Hallock over there.
Oh, what's up, guys?
I'm Dan Hurst.
Seriously, I went to a pawn shop and sold my watches. I did. So I could buy another watch.
That's an obsession.
Well, I can see it in his
hobby.
eyes. We're
That's
halfway.
not a hobby. That's an obsession.
We're halfway through lunch. I've got to know Clifton well enough. His eyes start to glaze over, and I can just tell he's in watch mode.
Oh,
This
yeah.
guy's
Watch
he's
land.
making a plan. He's
I
checked
like-
out.
Going to Watchland.
You're so true. About halfway through lunch,
Oh,
I'm
yeah.
thinking, okay, I
could tell. You
I
were
gotta
looking.
get to the pawn store.
No, and I knew
I
it was
knew
over
it.
with because he goes, this really wasn't that good.
The food wasn't that good. But the guy at the pawn store, I took it by last week, and we couldn't agree on a price. And then I called him Saturday, and he said, okay, I'll up it to that, but you need to come in here on Monday. And I was like, if I don't come in today, he may change his mind. So I had to get in there
So you had to get in there.
So that's what you were doing, was watching.
because I already bought the watch. And, I told my wife I won't be buying any more watches unless I sell watches.
Mm-hmm.
So
So you had to capitalize.
I kind of got ahead of myself. I bought the watch.
Have you
before I
sent her a
sold it.
picture of the new watch?
No, we don't. I don't send her pictures. We just don't talk about it much.
All right, so deacons. Let's talk about
Let's talk about deacons.
deacons.
There we go.
We'll talk about marriage health at another.
That's right.
another
That'll be the
time.
next one.
But let's talk about, speaking of health, we were talking about deacons, and first of all, how do you identify, the right deacons, and then in the second one, what was my notes? I've already
Talk about
lost my-
equipping
How do you equip them and train them?
and
Equipping them.
developing them. Yep,
And
that's
then,
right.
So but once you started that, how do you maintain a healthy, ongoing, sustainable deacon ministry?
Yeah, that's a great question. That's what we want to talk about.
And frankly, we put those podcasts in that order for a reason. You don't start with a healthy deacons ministry. We start with how do you select them,
Yep,
and then how do you train them.
that's right.
So this is a long-term process, guys. This is not, you're not there on a mission trip. It's not 3 weeks and you're getting on the bus and going back home. Hopefully you're going to be here for years and decades. So take some time, select the right ones. And we said before, if you've got some not right ones in place, it's probably not worth getting rid of them. If you don't have to, just bring in some good new ones and let that over time take over and train well the ones you have. Go back and listen to that podcast. Mark did a great job. Hallock did a great job talking about how to train equip deacons. And so this one, once you've done that,
Yeah.
here we are. How do you have a thriving deacon ministry?
Yep. Well, and this will be good as you think about, part of it is you think about your own churches you've been part of that had strong deacon ministries versus those that didn't, right? Part of what we're talking about here is the culture that you've created within your deacon ministry. So for instance, when we think about, and this is the first point I would make, the best deacon ministries, just like the best deacons, are built, they create a culture of humility and servant-heartedness toward the congregation, ongoingly. They talk about it. They lead with it. Church, we are here to serve you and to serve the Lord.
And doesn't that create a sort of a, I don't want to use the word peer pressure, but it does. It
totally does.
It does create a, like, okay, either get with it or
you want to create a culture that's so potent that if you have a deacon that's looking for power or wants to control, it does not fit the way we do deacons in this church, right? That's just not how we're servant leaders. We take it seriously. We love the flock. We serve our pastors. We serve alongside our pastors. This is not about title. This is not about, so you got to create, that's the vision piece. If you're a pastor, or even if you're a deacon now, you've got to lead with the right things, the biblical things of what a deacon's supposed to do.
If you have some deacons who lead with humble and joyful leadership, that will resonate throughout your church.
Absolutely.
They'll set the tone for the church.
For the whole culture of the church.
On the other hand, if they lead with prideful, resentful, kind of cranky leadership, that'll set the tone as well.
That's right.
And you may, as the pastor, you're going to have to set the tone and for them. And you're going to have some humble, joyful leadership as well. They're going to see that in you. But absolutely, the joyful part is important too.
Joy is huge.
You know,
when you think about it, I'm glad you said that, because when you think about your congregation, what I can tell you is this: lost people and even other believers that move to your community are not drawn to joyless churches.
No.
They are not. They are not interested in being part of cranky churches. They are very much drawn to churches that are marked by kindness and love and unity and joy in the Lord.
And it doesn't take them long to pick up on
No,
that.
they'll pick up on it. And that should be one of the great strengths of a small church, a normative sized church, which is most of our churches. But it flows from the top down. As a pastor, as deacons, what are our folks catching from us? Are they catching joyful service or joyless service?
So
right?
a culture of humility and a culture of not of joyful service. You have to intentionally work at building that culture. Are you able, I'm just throwing this at you, to give me some clues on how I could create that culture? It's one thing to say it.
Yep.
What's some ways I can create that in my deacons and in my leadership?
Yeah. Well, again, first of all, so I think there's two main pieces. You've got to teach it and you got to model it, right?
Okay.
So you got to teach it in that you got to talk about what is joy. Let's talk about this. Like, what does the Bible mean by joy? What is it? What kind of servant leader was Jesus when he's washing the feet? Let's talk about that. So I think you teach the truth, but it's not enough just to teach it. You also have to model it. So a lot of this, you hear the phrase, and it's true. A lot of this is more caught than taught.
Right.
And so you've got to model it. And I would say this: if you've got a few deacons that do model it, bring them in closer and say, hey, you know what? We need to keep leading with this kind of joy. We need to help the other guys catch this, or whoever we want our church to catch this. And I think what you'll find is some will, some won't, but some will. And I think it'll set a tone for future deacons as they're coming on.
I can't overstate this enough. Maybe not in the first 6 months or a year you're there as pastor, but if you've been there for very long and you've got deacons who are, I gotta be careful. You got deacons who are not joyful and are not humble.
Right. Yep.
You got to look in the mirror, because they're gonna many ways copy your leadership style.
That's right.
You're gonna have a huge influence on them.
Yep.
And so maybe we need to do a check on ourselves and make sure we are joyful and humble. Number 2, Mark.
That's good.
Deacons play a vital role in protecting church unity during seasons of conflict, transition, and difficulty.
Well, yeah, you've got a healthy deacon team and culture if when disunity starts to pop its head up, they are the first ones to protect the church and to fight for unity and to communicate that clearly.
Well, isn't it true when you look at the work of the deacon, almost everything a deacon does or is expected to do involves some sort of crisis or conflict?
That's true.
Yeah.
I mean, very seldom is it something that doesn't have that, it
Right.
isn't involved there. So it's a stressful job for these guys.
It is.
Good word. You're talking about, one of the things we did at Wardle, and we could have divided our deacons up into tasks. We had deacons who were responsible primarily for bereavement when someone died or someone's family member died, who were there, deacons who were there for helping with the finances, benevolence, when someone needed some money for their utilities, or they were out of work for a while. And then we had other deacons who did things like for those who were at hospital and sick and shut in, others who were having some family problems. And so, yeah, all of those, you think about it, they're all sort of crisis moments for sure. And so they got to be sensitive to that. And then I agree with Hallock too, man. I think, man, the deacons need to tap down on any dissension and because that's really why the deacons were selected in the book of Acts. There was fussing between the widows.
Yeah.
And they came to bring unity because it was important.
Yep.
And they saw that as a role, not just serving the tables, but bringing unity.
That's
So
right.
Both of those things.
I've heard it said that deacons are the shock absorbers of the church.
Oh, that's a good word.
And I like that. So I think in two ways. One, they can be shock absorbers for pastors in terms of coming alongside, but also for the congregation in times of pain and confusion or whatever. That they kind of, these are mature, godly individuals who the Lord has placed there to help absorb some of that stuff as they're seeking to care for others, right?
And, this is a little bit off topic here, but I get a little irritated sometimes when people sort of dump on deacons all the time. They're almost like the Pharisees, right? You can almost, those old deacons, hard-shelled deacons. I want to tell you something. Some of the greatest Christian men I've ever known have been deacons.
Come on.
And men who serve with love and compassion, who work 40, 50, 60 hours a week, some of them owning their own businesses. I can think of deacons growing up that owned their own businesses, and they did work 50, 60 hours a week. I'm not making that up. And yet they still came to church every Sunday morning, Sunday night, went to deacons meeting, did hospital visitation, cared about people.
Yes.
I'm telling you, some of the greatest heroes we've ever had in ministry are deacons, and we got to quit degrading them and making jokes about them and talking. We need them desperately. They're critically important. And I think if we elevated the position like that, not in terms of elevating it as a position of power and influence, but a position of ministry and importance to the kingdom, more men would understand what our role is in that. And more people would aspire to it, actually.
That's a good word.
Well, we confuse the word leader with authority and boss, and deacons have to lead by example.
That's right.
Yeah.
And if they're not leading by example, then there's something wrong.
Yes, that's right. Here's the next one I want to point out. Churches must avoid both inactive deacon ministry and deacons functioning as unofficial church rulers.
So basically deacons who don't have any role except coming to deacons meeting once a month.
Yep.
And that does happen.
Yep.
For one thing, if you do that, sometimes guys who really want to be a minister will get frustrated with that and won't remain as a deacon.
Exactly.
And so you'll lose.
What's the point? What are we doing?
You'll lose some good opportunities.
Yep.
So yeah, you're not given anything specific to do other than meet once a month.
Yep. So that's why you got to be clear. You have to have a vision. You got to have a plan. You got to have strategy. Deacons typically, in my experience, they want to be led. They want to be led. They want to be part of something that matters. And so this is where we have to step up as pastors many times and help provide that leadership and that ongoing encouragement.
And you also said there that they can't be unofficial leaders. In other words, they can't be
unofficial church rulers.
Church rulers.
So they have power.
Yeah. They can't be a shadow organization.
Yes.
They can't be the power behind the power.
Yes.
We got to check with the deacons and say, well, no,
That's right.
you don't check with the deacons. They're there to serve the community, serve the church rather, serve that way. If you got pastor elders, maybe that's who you check with. You got a church council, maybe that's who you check with. But you don't look to them as the authority in the church. You look to them as those who care and serve the church. And that's a different view for some churches.
That's right.
For sure.
The healthy communication. Let's talk about this.
Well, hang on a minute. You said inactive. I'm going to throw you a wild card here.
Yeah, go for it.
Do your deacons in your church, do they serve indefinitely or do they serve for a time?
Great question. They serve indefinitely, but we require sabbaticals, and we are very liberal in the sense of with sabbaticals, so breaks. What I mean by that is this. So, and this is also with our elders, same thing. So we would say, once you're a deacon, man, you're always a deacon. If you've been ordained in this church to serve as a deacon. Now what we want to make sure though, is you've got, we're going to make sure you have sabbatical times. And sometimes depending on season of life. Like we'll have guys, like right now, I think of our 30 deacons, we have 5 guys on sabbatical right now.
Okay.
Okay. And if I remember right, of those 5, I think one of them is going to be a year. It's a full year break. For a couple others, it has to be a minimum of 3 to 6 months, is what we say. But point being is we want to make sure that we talk about it though. Like, look, it's not healthy for you to just serve all the time. It's not good for you. It's not good for your family. It's got, we need, this is why we're raising up other guys.
What's in your church? What is the schedule for sabbatical every how many years, or is it?
Yeah.
Is it just sort of loose?
Yeah. Well, for pastor elders, okay, for full-time pastor elders, it's, you have to take a 3-month sabbatical every 5 years.
Okay.
Okay. For our lay guys, it's a 2-month sabbatical, I think, every 2 years.
Okay.
Something like that.
Because there are some churches I know who they'll have inactive deacons. You just rotate off the deacons
right,
for 3 years or 4 years.
And some do, and honestly, I don't think that that's like wrong. I just think you have unique challenges. I
know, but inactive deacon seems to me to be an oxymoron.
Yeah. No, we're right. Yeah, that's true.
Deacon is a verb.
Yeah, you don't have to serve for this year.
Yeah, you're an inactive. You're not a non-serving servant.
Yeah,
they're non-serving. No, you're not. I never quite understood that, but I do understand needing to take a break like that. I think that's good, especially in season. They have a new baby, for example,
right.
Or they have an older parent who becomes invalid. And they got to spend more time with them. There may be some reasons in life they need to take a sabbatical.
Yeah, so it's more stepping out of official deacon responsibilities.
I like the term sabbatical rather than inactive deacon.
Yeah.
I like
that. Because sabbatical is intentional rest in the Lord.
Yeah.
So it's actually not just a break. We want to actually spend these months for you caring for your soul.
Well, what you did say in your church is once a deacon, always a deacon.
Yeah. I mean, I would say that.
Yeah, I would too.
Again, and you're going to have guys who, they might say, "Hey, I think I'm done for a while," and that's fine. We'll honor that.
Sure. But you don't. I've known some churches that you're on for 4 years and then you're off.
And then you're off. Yeah, I just don't see that.
Right.
I don't know.
Just checking. Okay. Healthy communication between pastors, elders, deacons is essential for long-term health. What's healthy? What's it look like?
Yeah, and I would say members too, because remember, for pastors, pastor elders, and deacons to be most effective, they need to know what they're doing, but the people need to know what they're doing, the members. So this is where communication ongoingly between those 3 groups, and as Baptists, those are the 3 key positions. There has to be good communication. So business meetings, however, if you do them regularly, what are the key pieces of information that need to be communicated there? What are things that need to be communicated on Sunday mornings to keep folks in the loop, right? One of the things that we do, I think I have shared this about, we have mini flocks. So we break our whole church down into 8 mini flocks. And in my mini flock, I've got a couple deacons that serve with me. Well, once a quarter, we get our whole mini flock together and we're casting vision of, here are your deacons, if you didn't know that. And we're here to serve you in these ways. And, you call us, we want to pray for you. If you're moving, you need help, whatever. So that's what I mean. Like, there has to be a relationship where your people go, I know who my deacons are. Mm-hmm. I know what they actually do, and I know how to get a hold of them, right? So that's beyond just the macro level of serving to a micro level. So it's not just you're doing duties for the church generally. You are there to serve individuals in the church as well. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
And so you've got to have a plan to do that. And so pastorally and as deacons.
Let me encourage you, when you talk about communication, guys, Sunday morning is such an important communication moment. And yet, oftentimes, I don't think many of us, especially in normative-sized churches, I don't think we really are intentional about what we communicate on Sunday morning. I think we just communicate a bunch of announcements. And I think sometimes people just tune us out. Maybe this announcement doesn't mean to me, doesn't apply to me. I think it's really important at some time in your morning worship, maybe at the very beginning before worship really begins, or maybe after you pronounce the benediction, and then as people leave, you need to say, here are 3 important things going on in our church this week. You need to know about these. The deacons have done this.
There you go.
The pastors are doing this.
Yep.
And the youth are going to do this. And you pray for these things as we leave today. Maybe that's the last, just something like that.
Yep.
Rather than just
simple.
Simple.
Yep.
No more than 2 or 3 things,
Clear.
but things that are clear so that they understand what's happening. And specifically the deacons. If the deacons are doing some things, this is what our deacons have been doing this week. You can pray for them with that. This is what our youth are doing. Here's what your pastors are doing.
I love that.
I really think it's best maybe even after the benediction. I think you need to have a benediction. I like the idea of a beginning and an ending of worship service.
Yep.
But you say, hey, as you're leaving today, just want you guys to take a minute, look at the screen. We're going to do these things. This is what's happening. Yep. Three big things today at our church.
I love it,
just
man.
3 big things.
I love it.
Yeah.
In the process that I'm going through right now with the church that I'm working with is the term I have heard probably more than any other phrase or term in the first 2 months is lack of transparency.
That was there before you came.
Yeah.
Yeah. Dan's pastor of a church, been there for 2 months, a replanting church.
And the process, and they're resentful of it, just like nobody knows what anybody's doing. Like they're going right now through you got to go through the nomination process, right? And we have a nominating committee. And so, and I'll ask the deacons, well, who's on the committee? Well, I don't really know.
Yeah.
And so how do people get nominated? Well, the nominating committee calls them up, and if they want to stay on the committee, they stay on the committee. And they assign them for another 3 or 4 years, whatever. But the whole thing is just so chaotic in the sense that it's unmanaged. And the result of that is what they perceive as a lack of transparency. Who's making these decisions?
Yeah, right.
And why did they get to make that decision? How come we didn't vote on that? That sort of thing. And boy, your deacons better be on top of that.
Yeah.
And that probably is the number one way that you begin dealing with that very issue. Yeah. I mean, I'm making it a point with my deacons to sit down and talk about every one of these things that I'm hearing. I want them to know what I'm hearing.
There you go.
And
that's good.
And what
that's really
and I want them to respond to that.
Yes.
I want to know what they think.
And guys, when some lady comes up to you or some man comes to you, hey, who's been doing this? What's been going on here? Your response needs to be, if you don't know, Mildred, I don't know, but I'm going to find out just for you. And I'll call you today, tomorrow, and I'll have the answer for you, because that's a really good question. And then find out.
Yeah. Yes.
And then call her. Put that fire out right there.
That's right. Exactly.
Say, this is how the nominating committee is doing this. And then I agree. I had an old guy at the home mission board used to always say, man, just tell the truth and trust the people. Don't hide anything from them. Don't keep anything from them. Just tell the truth, tell what's going on, and then trust them with it.
I'll tell you something else about what you're talking about that I love, and that is every chance I get for FaceTime with my people is a plus.
Yep.
So even if it's a problem,
that's right.
If it gives me an opportunity to spend time with somebody and talk about it, and either to explain it or to answer it or to say, you know what, this is all I find out, but I'm going to find out more.
I'll find out.
And it's more FaceTime, and FaceTime is invaluable.
Absolutely. And then when you actually do call her back or go and to give her the answer, that is such a win-win.
Yep.
So when they come to you with some sort of accusation or some sort of problem, see it as an opportunity to really gain some more of their trust by taking care of it for them. Easy for me to say, because I'm not the pastor.
Yeah.
I don't.
Yeah, right.
It's easy sitting in my recliner in my basement to talk like that. It's another thing to say, Mildred coming down the hallway and want to jump in the janitor's closet.
Hey, listen, can I close this episode with, I wrote a short article last week for Deacon magazine.
You did?
About the deacon of deacons in our church, David Elliott. It's an honor of him. And I just want to read this.
Absolutely.
Because I think it gets to the heart of why we love deacons and how grateful I am for David Elliott. So I'm going to close with this. I don't normally do it, but I want to read this. Every church needs faithful deacons, not flashy deacons, not deacons who love the title more than the towel, faithful deacons. Deacons who love Jesus and love the Word of God. Deacons who love God's people and serve quietly, joyfully, and consistently over the long haul. At Calvary Church, where I'm blessed to pastor, one of these men is David Elliott. David has been a member of Calvary for over 60 years. Think about that. 60 years of Sundays, 60 years of serving in one way or another, 60 years of joys and sorrows and meetings and meals, prayers and tears, friendships and funerals, new members and old friends. And through it all, David has remained faithful. When I became a pastor at Calvary in 2009, David was already there. From my very first days, he was exactly who he has continued to be: humble, kind, steady, joyful, servant-hearted, deeply committed to Christ and his church. David has never needed the spotlight, and that's one of the things I love most about him. He doesn't serve in order to be noticed. He doesn't give in order to be thanked. He doesn't care for people, so his name will be mentioned from the platform. He serves because he loves Jesus. And that is what deacons are called to do. A biblical deacon is not merely a person who attends meetings or fills a slot on an organizational chart. A deacon is a servant, a helper, a burden lifter, a unity protector, a mercy extender, a needs noticer, a follower of Jesus who leads by bending low. And that is David. Over the years, I've watched him care for the poor and care for the hurting. I've watched him come alongside people who needed encouragement and practical help or simply a friend. I've seen him quietly serve lower income families and single parent households connected to our church's preschool. Not because anyone was making him do it, but because his love for Christ compelled him. Of course, if you ask the children, I love this, okay?
Yeah.
If you ask the children of Calvary who David Elliott is, they might not start with deacon. They might not start with servant leader. They might not start with faithful member of over 60 years. They would probably just smile and say, "Oh, the gum man." And they would be right. As every Sunday, little kids are on the lookout for David. They know he's coming. They know he'll be ready. They know somewhere in those pockets is a treasure chest of chewing gum in nearly every flavor you can imagine. Spearmint, bubble gum, watermelon, cinnamon, who knows what else. David probably has flavors the rest of us have never even heard of. But the gum is not really about the gum. It's about presence. It's about love. It's about a man who sees children, knows them, cares for them, and takes delight in making them smile. It's about a deacon who understands that sometimes ministry looks like visiting the hurting, helping the poor, praying with the discouraged, and yes, handing a piece of gum to a little kid on a Sunday morning. That is David. Faithful in the big things, faithful in the small things. Faithful when people notice, faithful when they don't. David has set the tone for our deacons and for our church. He has modeled what it looks like to be a humble, loving, Christ-like servant leader. He has reminded us that the strength of a church is often shaped by the quiet faithfulness of godly servants. And then I'll close with this. David Elliott is a deacon of deacons, and I love him deeply. Calvary Church would not be where we are or who we are without him. And I can say personally, I would not be the pastor I am without him either. I praise God for David Elliott and all the ways he loves Christ and his church. He is a picture of Christ-like love with pockets full of gum and a heart full of grace. He's a faithful deacon. More than that, he's a faithful man after God's own heart.
Wow.
Great.
What a great honor.
Well, David is a blessing, and that's what we pray. We pray God help us to find, identify, raise up, and train the next generation of David Elliott's as deacons in our churches.
Would he like to spend some time at my church?
First Baptist Independence.
Just for a little bit, you know. Come here, talk
Come
about
on, David,
deacons.
come help us.
Yeah.
All right. Hey, next podcast, we're going to do on renewal. Different kinds of renewal.
Yes.
Like renewal of your skin. We're talking about how to make your skin look younger.
Oh, this is going to get exciting.
We're going to look at 5 types of renewal. So be sure to tune in next week on your radio dial. Same station, same place, and we'll be talking about that, Mr. Hurst. Take us home.
We'll see you. Bye.
Thanks for joining us today on Revitalize and Replant with Mark Clifton and Mark Hallock. This podcast is brought to you by the North American Mission Board, where we help dying or struggling churches regain health for the glory of God and the good of their communities. If you found this podcast helpful, don't forget to subscribe on your favorite podcast platform. To learn more about becoming a replant pastor or to explore revitalization resources for your church, subscribe to our monthly newsletter at churchreplanters.com.